Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and to yet another Linux tutorial. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. Now, as you all know, Ubuntu 22.04 was released last week on April the 21st, 2022 by Canonical, which is its parent company. Now, this is the latest LTS release and will be supported until 2027. It provides numerous features and enhancements. For example, you get a new Ubuntu logo, you get GNOME 42, you also get a chance to choose your favorite accent color from a selection of 9 colors. The latest version also comes with new software versions. For example, you get Python 3.10 and PHP 8.1, among others. Now, for a more comprehensive list of all the latest features, you can head over to this URL you can see here and take your time and go over all the latest features and enhancements that the latest version provides. All right. Now, in this guide, I'm going to walk you through the installation of Ubuntu 22.04 on VirtualBox. The first step is to download the ISO image. So on your browser, search for Ubuntu 22.04 ISO. So on this link here, click on it and it should take you to the download page for Ubuntu 22.04. Okay, so in this guide, I'm going to download the desktop image. So I can either click on this link here or scroll all the way down and click on this link here. So you can see the size is 3.4 gigs. Okay, but before you do so, you can take some time and go over the requirements for installation. Okay, now you can see that it requires, these are the recommended system requirements. So you need a 2.0 gig dual-core processor, 4 gigs of memory, minimum of 25 gigs of free hard drive space, internet access, of course, and either a DVD drive or a USB port, but we do not need this since we are going to install it on VirtualBox. So all we need is an ISO image. All right. Now back to the download page, simply click on this link here to download the ISO image. And you can see down below that the download is underway. Okay, but since I already have this ISO image, I'm going to cancel this out. So I'll click on cancel. Okay, now with the ISO image in place, the next step you're going to take is to create a virtual machine on VirtualBox. All right, now I'm going to launch my VirtualBox application. And in case you haven't installed Oracle VirtualBox, I have a tutorial already on how you can install VirtualBox on Windows 10, and the link is right on your top corner in this video. Okay, now to get started, I'm going to click New on this button here. All right, so here I'm going to provide the virtual machine name. So I'm going to call it Ubuntu 22.04. Okay, I'm going to leave other options just the way they are. So here for the type, ensure you have Linux selected, and for the version, ensure that you have Ubuntu 64-bit selected. So I'm going to press or click next. Okay, for the memory size, I'm going to adjust it to about 4 gigs. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to click next. All right, so here I'm going to go with create a virtual hard disk now. So I'll click create. For the hard disk file type, I'll go with the default, which is the VirtualBox disk image. I'll click next. All right, here I will go with the default, which is dynamically allocated. So I'll click on next. Now in this section, I'm going to adjust the virtual hard disk in megabytes. So here I'm going to give it around 50 gigs. All right, or rather 55 gigs. So finally, I'm going to click on create. Now here you can see that the virtual machine is already listed, but we still need to do a few more configurations. So here I'm going to click on settings. Now I'm going to navigate to storage. Then below the controller IDE, I'm going to click on this icon here, empty. Then over here, I'm going to click on this icon just beside the optical drive selection. And I'll click on choose or create a virtual optical disk. Okay. So here I'll create add. Now I'm going to navigate to the ISO image that I've just downloaded. So I'll click on this and click open. Okay. Now this is listed here. So I'm going to double click on it. Now you can see that just below the controller IDE section, we have the ISO image highlighted, which means you're good to go. Now, the next option you might want to configure is the network. Okay, so by default, this is set to NAT or network address translation, which is just okay. But if you want the virtual machine to be part of your local area network, you can select the bridged adapter, okay, and define the interface. So here I'm using the wireless interface, okay. So I'm going to select that. So with this setting here, the virtual machine will be within or will be in my local area network. So I'm going to click OK. All right, now we are all set. Now to begin the installation, click on the Start button. So this powers up the virtual machine, and as you can see, we have a pop-up here. All right, now we get the Grub menu, okay, and the first option, click the first option, which is try or install Ubuntu. So I'm going to hit enter. And here we go. The installation has just begun. So you can see the new Ubuntu logo for Ubuntu 22.04, like I mentioned earlier. So the system is starting up, and this will take a minute or two. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to fast forward the video. Great. Now, once the system powers on, the first thing you notice is that you have this beautiful wallpaper for Ubuntu 22.04 with an iconic jellyfish, as you can see. All right. So just wait a few seconds for the installer to pop up. And here we go. So if you've installed Ubuntu before, this should be familiar to you. So the first step provides two options. So you can try Ubuntu or install Ubuntu. Okay, so the first option allows you to try Ubuntu as a live installation media. And the second option actually allows you to install Ubuntu on. So here, to the far left, you can select your most preferred language. So for me, I'll go with English, which is the default selection. All right. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, I'm going to click on this to install Ubuntu on VirtualBox. So I'll click on this option. All right. For the keyboard layout, I'll just go with the defaults. All right. So here I won't change anything, but for your case, feel free to select your most preferred keyboard layout. So here I'll accept the defaults and click on continue. Now in the updates and other software section, you're provided with a couple of options. So for the applications you'd like, I will go with the default selection, which allows me to go with the normal installation. So this allows me to install GUI or graphical user interface packages. For example, the web browser, the office software, games, media players, and other applications. So I'll go with the normal installation. For other options, I'll make sure that this is checked so that I can download updates during the installation. Additionally, I'll also make sure this option is checked so that I can install other third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and other media formats. So here I'll click continue. Right, so here we are at the installation type section. Now, there are two installations, or rather, there are two modes of installation you can go with. The first one is to erase the disk and install Ubuntu. So this wipes out everything on your hard drive. So if you had another operating system, it will wipe out everything and it will provide an automated way of creating your partitions. So you can choose this step, all right, if you are not familiar with manual setup of partitions, all right. But if you're an advanced Linux user, you can click on the second option, which is labeled something else. Now, this option allows you to create and resize partitions for yourself and choose multiple partitions, all right? So if you're a beginner, you can select the first option. If you're a bit advanced, you can click this option, which we are going to go with, all right? So I'll click on continue. Now here I'm going to create 5 partitions, all right? So to begin, click on new partition table. So I'll click on this button here, all right? Now to proceed with creating a new partition table, I'm going to click on continue. Right, and the first partition I'm going to create is the boot partition. So I'll click on free space here. Then I'll click on this plus sign. All right, for the boot partition, I'm going to give it 1 gigabyte. So this is roughly 1024 megabytes. All right, so here I'm going to leave this the way it is. And for the mount point, I'm going to select boot as such, all right? Then I'll click on OK. Right, our boot partition is created. Now, moving on, I'm going to create the home partition. So once again, I'll click on this plus sign here. For the home partition, I'm going to give it approximately 30,000 megabytes, which is close to 30 gigs. So here for the mount point, I'll select home like that. Then I'll click OK. Great. Now, the next partition, I'm going to create the swap space or the swap area. So once again, I'll click on free space. Then I'll click on the plus sign. Now for the swap, I'm going to give it 4 gigs. So that's roughly 4096 megabytes. All right. So here, if for use as, I'm going to select swap area like that. Then I'll click OK. All right. Now, the other partition I'm going to create is the root partition. All right. So once again, I'll click on free space, then I'll click on this plus sign here. So here I'm going to give it 25,000 megabytes, like that. So here for the mount point, I'll select root, like that. Right, so here, now the other partition I'm going to create is the EFI system partition. Now this is especially useful for those of you who are using GPT hard disk. So here, I'll click plus, the plus sign here. Then here I'm going to select EFI system partition. All right. So this I'm going to give it 220 megabytes. Then I'll click OK. All right. Now for the remaining space, I'm going to create a reserved BIOS boot area. So once again, I'll give this about 4 megabytes. So here for users, I'll select reserved BIOS boot area. Then I'll click OK. And there we go. So here is our route. Here is our partition table with all the partitions. So we have the boot partition, the home partition, the swap area, the root partition, the EFI, and the reserved BIOS partition. All right. Now to proceed, click on install now. All right. Now here you'll be presented with the list of all the partitions that will be formatted and created. All right. So to proceed, click on continue. Right. At this point, all the partitions are created. Now, the next step is to define your geographical location. So I'm assuming you're already connected to the internet, and if that is the case, the installer will automatically detect your current location. So at the moment, I'm in Nairobi, Kenya. All right. Now for you, of course, it will be different. So now here I'm going to click continue. Here you'll be required to provide your details. So here I'll type my name, James. Okay. So for computer name, I'll just provide Ubuntu, Jammy, like that. So for the username, I'll leave it as James. Choose a password. I'm going just to give a simple password. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to click, once you've provided all your details, click continue. Now here, the installer will now start copying all the required files and installing Ubuntu 22.04. Now this is a process that is quite intensive and will take a bit of time. Usually this should take between 30 to 40 minutes. And at this point, I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back once the installation is complete. And finally, the installation is complete, as you can see. Now, in order to log in and use your new installation, click on Restart Now. So this is going to restart this virtual machine. All right, so this will take about a minute or two. So at this point, I'm going to fast forward the video. So here, simply press enter. Now the virtual machine is restarting, as you can see. And now we are presented with the login screen, as you can see here. Now I'm simply going to click on this and provide my password in order to log in. And there we go. So this is our Ubuntu 22.04 instance that is finally installed. And just to confirm this, you can launch your terminal. But before you do so, there are some additional steps. All right, so here you can choose to connect your online account, but I'm not going to do so for now. So I'm going to skip this section. Now here, I'll just click next. For the location services, you can either decide to turn on or turn off. So here I'm going to turn on and click next. And finally, click done. All right. Now everything is set. And as you can see, this is our beautiful desktop background here. All right. So here at the bottom right corner, you can see the desktop icons, which by default will be placed at the bottom right corner, starting from Ubuntu 22.04. Now, let's now launch the terminal. All right. So we can verify the version of Ubuntu by running the command lsb release -a, like that. Okay, so here you can see we are using Ubuntu 22.04. The release is 22.04, codenamed Jammy. Okay. Also, you can run the command cat etc os release, and this should give us pretty much the same info. So here you can see pretty name is Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, and you can go through other details as shown here. And that's it, guys. We have finally completed the installation of Ubuntu 22.04 on Oracle VirtualBox. If you found this guide helpful and informational, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so that you can get more videos like this. And see you in the next video. Thank you for your time.